Season 2 of this series. This entire program is brought to you by CrowdPoint Technologies. As we promised in the last program we had here, we're going to start digging into the different exchanges, market sectors that are going to be part of this unique blockchain platform delivered by CrowdPoint. Today we're going to focus in on consumer staples. With me today is Harry McCue. He is the CEO of Consumer Staples. And we're going to get into talk about commodities and how to really fill the world with opportunities and also to help those that are in great need. Let's sit back and watch that conversation. All right, everybody. This is another important moment in our Blockchain Talk series. Today, we're going to talk about breaking news. The first ever bulk water blockchain transaction. And here with me today to expand on this exciting news, of course, is Harry McCue. What's going on, my friend?
Hi, Pete. Yeah, great. Yeah, good to be here. It's been a very exciting last few weeks while we're putting this all together, and I'm happy to come here and talk to you about it.
Harry, I know that you are in that inner circle of CrowdPoint with Sean and Raj and all the guys, and not only are you guys friends, but you're coming together and bringing together expertise at a very, very high level. It's what's making it, I guess, a very fast-paced environment with CrowdPoint, and everywhere you look, and what I'm hearing and seeing is just a rapid development of this organization with the blockchain and other very exciting things where, you know, we've been going in one particular direction, but now we're shifting over. We're not abandoning the fundamentals of all of this, but there are things that are happening before our very eyes, and you guys are at the forefront and having these real important executive meetings to make sure that you can definitely leverage what's going on with the work that's been done to this point. Of course, you're the CEO of the Consumer Staples Folio, yet there's some other things that are developing right now. And what I'd like to, before we get to the heart of the matter here in our headline today, if you could give us a very, very short briefing on what the Consumer Staples Folio is.
Yeah. So at the kind of top level of our business, our trading business, we have an exchange, and that exchange beneath it has 11 different industry sectors. In fact, we've created a new one in the last couple of days, which I'll let Sean explain to you. But the S&P 500 has 11 industry sectors, okay? And they're described as consumer staples, consumer discretionary, real estate, materials, healthcare, and so on. Mm-hmm. And beneath that, there are sub-industries and subsectors. And it's essentially categorizing our marketplaces in the same way as the New York Stock Exchange would. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so as the CEO of the Consumer Staples Folio, my responsibility is to create trading environments and trading culture, trading infrastructure for people to be able to trade every type of consumer staple under that category. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So to kind of help us develop the models, because this is all brand new, right? I mean, people are trading cryptocurrency on blockchain, right? And there have been some commodity transactions done on blockchain or supply chain activities done on blockchain, okay? Mm-hmm. But to really define the cutting edge blockchain technology and the way that we're going to transact business on there required us to kind of take a leap of faith and buy a concession in probably one of the richest mineral water that you can buy, mm-hmm. right? And we have a 50-year with renewable to 70-year concession with our partners in the Azores in Portugal, which is a Portuguese island right in the middle of the Atlantic, mm-hmm. in between Portugal and the Caribbean. And we thought, well, let's figure a way to do the world's first ever blockchain bulk water transaction, because we're going to define in that activity all of the smart contracts, all of the independent validations on water quality, all of the smart contracts with the different transportation vendors, and measuring the quality of the water from its source all the way through to the bottling plant that's going to take delivery of it in another country. Okay, and that's really important, because once you've traded water in this manner, the same way you can trade gold, silver, and any other commodity on the New York Stock Exchange, for example, you don't actually make a classical sort of trade, right? You're not moving a ton of coal from point A to point B. You're actually trading contracts and futures based on buying something at a price today. But the way our blockchain is designed, and its immutability and transparency, it's good enough. It's like having money in the bank, if you like, of the commodity, to say, okay, we've proven that we have 250 billion gallons of high quality volcanic mineral water, so we can start trading water contracts. And we've also proven that we can ship it from country A to country B. So that's really was the logic behind it. And the reason that we chose this NGO, it's essentially a children's charity in the islands of the Cape Verde Islands. We chose that because water poverty is a big issue in that particular island. And it was really important for us not only to validate the transaction with all of the component pieces, defined and designed and executed upon. It was also important for us to deliver water to a country that they don't have very much water. In fact, I think in the early 20th century, 200,000 people died from water starvation out there in the island. Okay, so it's a real problem in the island of the Azores, but we're solving two fundamental challenges. We're defining the future for the way that we'll handle all commodities on our platform, and we are also going to, in the most egalitarian and benevolent way, make sure that as we succeed and grow this particular business, we're always going to bear in mind and be sympathetic to those countries that need our help the most. And water charities and water poverty countries will always be a target for us.
I think what we're talking about here is twofold. There's the the business side of all of this, and there is what you just said, the humanitarian part. And any organization, any company globally, okay, must have that social responsibility aspect to their business, not as an afterthought, but as part of their DNA and how they go about evolving as a company, so that you can truly be an economic development partner to a city, a country, a region, and because you are fulfilling a desperate need. And what more basic need do all of us have than water?
No, indeed, absolutely. I think the world is in a kind of a little bit of state of flux at the moment, because water is plentiful everywhere.
And that's an understatement, Harry.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. Without becoming too political, but
no,
as far as water's concerned, it's people. There's plenty of water everywhere. Okay, if you take all of the water producing countries, there's no obvious signs of depletion at this point. But in 10 years' time, it's certainly being forecasted by the analysts that we are going to see major depletion in water shortages and water sources. So I think right now we have to really invest in the future. In fact, the other part of the water concession that we have is that we have naturally carbonated volcanic mineral water that up until 1975 was a very well-known and loved water from the royal households of Brazil, Portugal, and Monaco, called Lombardas, right?
Yep.
And so part of the concession is we're going to build a state-of-the-art bottling plant, and we're going to rejuvenate this brand and take it to the market again. And the provenance and the historical value of this brand is immense. It's a brand well over 100 years old. There's a great deal of provenance and kudos behind this particular brand, and cutting all of that to the side, it tastes great. Right? So this water is amazing.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So and it has amazing health properties. We've had independent hydrologists and health and well-being specialists that have analyzed this water, and they have all said that it has amazing healing properties. So there is really, it's kind of a win-win-win in our opinion.
Being able to take on this monumental task, okay, which is, first of all, tapping into, no pun intended, tapping into an opportunity, and then hooking it up with the blockchain, so that it can fulfill its mission, its real clear-cut mission of being a contributor to global economic development and the humanitarian side of all of that. How do you see the blockchain, utilization of the blockchain to do or to support all of this, as opposed to back in the day before the blockchain, and you're importing waters and you're distributing them? What is the biggest difference that you can share with us?
I think what you'll find is when we start trading other commodities like grain, sugar, you name it, any type of commodity. You at that point, all of the trading that goes on is happening real time. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we're working in a highly transparent ledger of the way people are conducting business. Mm-hmm. There's no market makers coming in and trying to, affect the future value of any of the commodities based on speculation. Okay, it's going to be a very honest and egalitarian environment for people to transact business.
I think the big word here, and we used it a lot in our season 1 of Blockchain Talk, is manipulation. Because when you have decentralized authority, they manipulate everything. They manipulate us and all the business practices. The blockchain is here as the police to say enough.
Exactly, and efficiencies of transacting as well.
Exactly.
Once you've got a decentralized environment the way that we've designed ours, and you are transacting up to 1.5 million transactions per second on our blockchain platform, you're going to find that it's infinitely more useful and effective than the current methods. Look, it would be a very bold man to sit here and say, we are positioning ourselves as an alternative to the stock exchanges around the world. But essentially, if we have critical mass and if we have the hearts and wallets and minds of the public, and we're going to build this over time by proving that we not only ensure that we will protect the human identity, but we will also pay dividends to the humans behind that identity. And that's fundamentally will drive the hearts and wallets of the world to move on to our crowd point environments.
Isn't that the driving force behind the Vogan blockchain, with the platform which is CrowdPoint? Yeah,
I think there's a lot of new branding going on at the moment, so I'm not going to give too much away today, Pete, but you're going to see our business organized across the 4 main pillars of our business. Okay, so that's It's the human identity element. It's the trading element, and it's the banking and financial elements that we're bringing into our ecosystem. And it's a pretty novel idea to help people raise money for a business and then help them grow it, right? Because that's essentially what we can do. And there's a great deal of thought and consideration put into our branding strategy on how we're going to approach all these different elements, how the business is evolving from being, purely a pure play marketplace player and blockchain player into something a little bit more sophisticated. And I think when you tie all the elements together, it will really make sense. And there is no other business in the world, I can assure you, that's following our thinking. No, that's for sure.
Well, in session 1 of season 2, I had the pleasure of bringing Sean on the show, and one of the things that I presented to him, and obviously that really sets all of this aside, all of CrowdPoint, everything that's going on, is, well, let me back up by saying, as with all the cryptocurrencies and everything's gone out there, and in the early stages of any new technology, a lot of it is good, but a lot of it is not so good. And not so good meaning that there is too much fraud, too many schemes going on.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that CrowdPoint as an organization, as a company, has actually has taken the whole issue of compliance as something to embrace as opposed to avoid.
Absolutely.
So it's running towards compliance, saying, okay, guys, here we are. We're totally transparent. We're practicing what we share in terms of transparency.
Yeah.
And this is what it is right now. And I think that's reassuring for all the CrowdPoint family today, and the hundreds of thousands that'll become part of it in the very near future as well.
No, I completely agree. I think that if you're implementing any compliance protocols across any industry, the way that we will implement our blockchain models to support that are going to be immutable and transparent. And and we have to also make them efficient, right? So we have some very cool technology, some very cool compaction technology in our portfolio that not only reduces the volume of data flying between one place and another, but is also, adding towards the effectiveness and efficiencies of the power that's utilized across our servers around the world, right? So that's something, and that obviously adds to the speed of the transactions that we're bringing to bear. So that's something else that is not widely known across the world.
Briefly, I wanted to go back real quick to the whole idea of creating this template, creating this test in terms of the water now that's going to be distributed, and that's going to be the first product in this folio, because of the other hundreds of thousands of different products, commodities that are out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all unfolds. And like anything else, you'll go on the process. Well, this went well. Well, this over here, we may have to adjust it a little bit, but that's the beauty of all of this, right?
Absolutely. It's we're taking a lot of good advice from external parties. We really are being very thorough in our research on kind of do this once and once only without having to go around. But I'm sure there will be things that we will be able to improve and do better. But I literally have people that have all the tea in Sri Lanka, right, that want to come and work with us. We have people that have all the coffee in, the Caribbean, in Puerto Rico or wherever, that want to work with us. And we can't until we've done this first one. And to me, this became one of my executive goals inside the business, and I've been like a dog with a bone to get this done. We did have a couple of early opportunities not transpire the way we wanted. So we thought, you know what, let's make this a commercial but also humanitarian transaction. And when we kind of got our head around the good that we can do with this water in the Cape Verde Islands, which is, you know, off the mainland of West Africa, right? So it's a volcanic island, and it used to be Portuguese. Our water comes from Portugal. There's very strong ties between Portugal and the Cape Verde Islands. In fact, it became independent only as recently as 1975. So just all the pieces of the puzzle were kind of adding up, and then it was an absolute no-brainer. And as soon as we reached out to this Children's SOS charity, which is there really to protect children from child labor and their general health and well-being, it was a very sensible. We're not trying to be noble for the sake of being noble, but we want to be helpful for the sake of being helpful, right? That's what we want to do. And I think we can absolutely achieve our goals commercially as a result of this. But equally, you know, as you said earlier, from a humanitarian aspect, I think we can do some good. And I'm sure it won't be just, you know, a one-off. I'm sure that there'll be other islands, other water poverty countries, and maybe even additional donations to this particular island as well. But it's too early to start making bold statements about spending our money later on. But I think it would be hugely obvious thing for us to do when we're successful.
I think the secret sauce is to be bold in the vision.
Yeah.
And then and you know, and look at what this could be like a year from now, 5 years from now. Okay, what do we need to do working backwards? To fill in that expectation, that vision. And so
you're absolutely right.
You know, it's a process that I've seen in 2 years almost that I've known Sean a little bit more and seen how everything's been developing. You thought we were going one way, no, we're going this way now, and now we're turning over here. But it's all for good because, you know, when these opportunities come, they're kind of like once in a lifetime, and you've got to get on that horse, and you got to ride it. And sometimes the horse is a little crazy. Sometimes it's a smooth ride. Sometimes the horse wants to stop. So it's as long as everybody understands that, then wonderful and exciting things can happen through all of this. Harry, we've got about a minute or so left. And any final comments that you want to share right now? I know there's a lot that you can't share at the moment.
Yeah.
But what else can you tell us right now as we're wrapping up this conversation?
Well, I hope when we've achieved this, we're hopefully going to create some video content we can share and distribute on our platform with you, to see the good that we're doing. And I think that really the key for us going forwards is that we launch new commodities every month, right? And on the back of this water trade, you know, we will be creating a water coin that's backed not only by the water assets that we have ourselves, the water volumes that are traded on our platform, as well as, you know, Sean has spoken about this many times, that for every piece of profit we make on every transaction, we will buy and back every transaction by silver.
Yep.
Right. So the value of our stable coin that we create for water in the very beginning, but there'll be others. It's really important that we show the world that cryptocurrency is not just based on scarcity and promises.
And more importantly, it's by doing it right, with full integrity, authenticity, and transparency.
100%. And that's why we haven't been shouting about what we're doing for such a long time until we really had nailed our execution. I think we're right there right now.
Harry, this has been an absolute pleasure. to bring you on the program.
Thank you, Pete.
I know that down the road we'll have further conversations as further information is released to the world. And you know what's going to happen is that as we are doing these conversations, when we take a look back, the conversations from the past are going to look obsolete because of the fast-moving, reality that we have here.
Absolutely. And I think it was Bill Gates. He had no interest in software. Yes, some interest, but his goal was to put a computer on every desk in every house. He's now renowned for software and storage and many other different things, right? And we certainly have to have a plan. We try and execute to the plan, but we have to adapt and we have to be malleable into finding, the path for the success of the business and for the success of our ultimate vision.
Absolutely. I love it, my friend. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll catch up real soon.
Thanks, Pete. Thank you. Have
Take
a good
care.
one.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Okay, big thank you to Harry McCue, again, the CEO of Consumer Staples for CrowdPoint Technologies. As you heard and watched, we talked about an important commodity that they are taking the lead on, which is water. And we broke the news about the first ever bulk water blockchain transaction. Many, many more conversations are gonna go along the lines of all of these commodities. And all I'm going to ask is just to stay tuned to our future shows coming up. I want to thank you, of course, for being with us. So many of you are writing to us and putting your comments on my YouTube channel. Thank you very, very much. Keep your comments, your feedback coming, because it reinforces what we're trying to do here so that we can all take advantage of this phenomenal opportunity, the fourth industrial revolution. I'm going to ask you to follow me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, of course, and LinkedIn. And if you got a moment, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Pete Delatorre. Thank you so much for being with us again every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on my Facebook and YouTube channel, BlockChain Talk. Take care of yourself and God bless.